Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. We will now call this Lake City City Council July 7th of 2025 meeting to order. If you will please stand for the pledge and an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your heads. Lord Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day in Lake City. Please guide our hand in leading our city with wisdom, logic, and compassion. Please keep our children safe as they enjoy their newfound summer, and always keep your guidance and protection for our police, fire, first responders, troops, and veterans. In your name I pray. Amen. All right. Ms. Sykes, will you please call the roll?
Walker.
Present.
City Manager Rosenthal.
Here.
City Attorney Martin.
Here.
Chief Butler.
Here. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lake City City Council has opened its public meeting. Since 1968, the City Code has prohibited any person from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous while addressing the City Council. Yelling or making audible comments from the audience constitutes boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There is only one approved manner of addressing the City Council, and that's to be recognized and then speak from the podium. As a reminder, persons are not to openly carry a handgun or carry a concealed weapon or firearm while the governing body is meeting. Failure to abide by the rules of decorum will result in removal from the meeting. And now we will entertain approval or amendment of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve the agenda.
We have a motion and a second. I know that we have discussion on this. Vice Mayor Young?
Yes, I will ask that we amend the agenda, putting item 16 before item 12.
So the discussion and possible action, use of city facilities prior to City Council Resolution number 2025-095. We have a motion and a second. We have discussion asking for an amendment. Would I guess Clay, Mr. Martin, would James, do we need to vote on that, or can somebody make an amendment to the motion if they so choose?
You could either do it formally by someone offering an amendment to the motion to accept the agenda, and the amendment would be to
with the change
for the amendment that Ms. Young offered, or alternatively, you could do it in a more informal way by asking the movant and the person who seconded the motion to amend the agenda if they would just consent to that change and then vote on it accordingly.
Would you guys consent to that change?
Fine with changing it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. With that amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right. So we have our agenda approved with that change of number 16 before item 12. We don't have any proclamations or awards today, so we will move straight into public participation in open public comment. So Ms. Erica Winsberg, you are our open public comment tonight.
Hello. I'm just here to ask if we have an affordable housing advisory committee that the public can attend. I've been asking about it and I haven't gotten any answers, or something similar.
We don't. So, could you repeat your question so Mr. Rosenthal could hear you?
If we have an affordable housing advisory committee that the public can attend, AHAC meetings.
Right.
Do you have any contingent? This is a little different than the last meeting. Do you have any contingent questions based on that? And
clarify.
Do you have any follow-up
sorry.
questions based on his answer?
Just information on it would be helpful. That's all.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Are you interested in getting involved if
Yes.
they're coming? Okay, very good. Mr. Rosenthal, I'll let you take it.
Well, it's actually pretty good timing. We're, in the next couple of meetings, we'll be coming before the board with the formation of a housing authority. At this stage, probably housing authority department within the city. And we'll be getting a board together to help run that housing authority for the city. So you'd be more than welcome to join that if you like.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. Does that answer your question, Ms. Winsberg? Okay. All right, very good. So we have no other public participation in the open comment section. So we will move on to approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, like sign? All right. We will move on to item number 10 then, which are presentations from Brendan McKittrick, CPA, James Moore and Company, the annual audit for the year end September 30th, 2024.
Good evening. I'm Brendan McKittrick, a director with James Moore and Company. I'll be presenting the financial statements for the city fiscal year in September 30th, 2024. I'll be using the PowerPoint presentation, so if you want to follow along, I recommend just watching that. It really summarizes the items I want to talk about tonight. Before we get into the financial statements, I did want to thank the council for the opportunity to perform the audit again this year. I also want to thank Angie and her team for all their hard work. There's a lot of work that goes into these financial statements. We ask a lot of questions, so again, appreciate everything that they do to get us here to this point. One thing I like to remind the council is that these financial statements are your financial statements. However, there are audit reports that we include in here as well. The first one being in the front of your financial statements, where we express our opinion really over the reliability of those numbers that you're looking at. We do have what's called an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. It's really the best opinion we can provide over a set of financial statements. The second report in here is the single audit report. So since the city did have grant expenditures exceeding $750,000, we are required to do additional testing and include an additional report, specifically looking at controls and compliance with regards to those grants. And again, you can see here that there are no issues of non-compliance with regards to that testing. The third report being the internal control and compliance report. So as part of our process, we're required to look at internal controls with respect to financial accounting. If we identify any issues in that area, again, this would be a place where we can communicate that. You can see here we had no issues in internal controls or compliance matters reported in that report either. And then the Chapter 10 550 report or management letters to the Auditor General, some more required communication specifically to the state, and just really highlighting there's no modifications to that report either. And then finally, your examination report in the back indicating the city's in compliance with required state statutes. So looking at the numbers for your general fund, that's your main operating fund for the city. You can see kind of the 5-year trend here, some kind of changes year to year. Biggest change having to do, the restricted fund balance is your building department, so that did increase this year just because of the excess revenues over expenditures. But the assigned and unassigned fund balance, pretty consistent with last year. And with that specifically on the assigned and unassigned fund balance, what we look at is that compared to the expenditures and transfers out as a percentage. And the GFOA, or Government Finance Officers Association, recommends as a minimum, so think of that as kind of a floor of 2 months, or 16.7%. City's at about 143%. But also acknowledging that we are in Florida, we do have needs in case there are hurricanes or capital projects. So again, looking at that as more of kind of a baseline, or again, as I kind of said, that floor there. On your business type funds, those are your proprietary funds, your wastewater and natural gas. You can kind of see the last 5 years of unrestricted net position. And specifically with your proprietary funds, what we like to say is this is really half the picture. The other half is what's beneath the ground, or really the infrastructure providing those services to citizens. That being said, for fiscal year 2024, you all did invest about $4.1 million in capital assets for those funds. And again, kind of in line with what we would expect as well. And then some other highlights, specifically on the governmental funds. You do have the fire department fund, which includes $165,000 assigned fund balance, and then a $2 million prepaid related to the fire truck that was purchased near year end, which was a prepaid amount. The airport capital projects has a small fund deficit fund balance of about $2,200. Your airport fund having those restricted dollars as well. And then your CRA, which we do issue a separate audit report as required by the state. And again, just highlighting we had no findings or issues in that report either. And then your ARPA transition project, that is an assigned fund balance included in your financial statements, which we kind of talked about earlier with regards to the assigned and unassigned fund balance. But again, just highlighting that's being tracked as well. And then the pension funds, so you all do have your general fire police as well as your FRS, just kind of giving you some information regarding the net pension liability, net pension assets, and kind of the impact to the governmental and proprietary funds, and really kind of highlighting, again, on the general fund and police pensions, those net pension assets, and then the fire having a net pension liability and the funding percentage there. And those are all amounts provided by an actuary that, a third party calculating those amounts, which included in your financial statement. So kind of a third-party expert in that area. And with that, I'll stop and answer any questions you might have.
Does council have any questions for Mr. McKittrick? Mr. Rosenthal?
I got just one. What percentage does the state require us to keep? You mentioned in your presentation.
The percentage, the 2 months, 16.7. That's not the state. It's the Government Finance Officers Association. So it's a kind of a body that we look at. They have a minimum recommendation.
Right. And the most important question: how much do we actually have?
For FY 2024 is at 143%. But that does include one-time use ARPA funds. Mm-hmm. So again, once those are spent down, those obviously aren't recurring.
But that gives us where we are right now.
As of September 30th.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. McKittrick?
I wish I would have had a little more time to read over this. Not saying that you're lying about anything, but I just wish I could have had it at least Friday. So that would have gave me time to, if I had some real questions, I would have been able to. So I would just ask that, if you're here next year, kind of get it to me a little earlier so I can.
My apologies. And if you do have questions even after this meeting, I'd be happy to get on a call and talk through that with you as well. We'll make a note for next year that you get those earlier.
And your number is where? You said you're going to give me your number, or is it in the packet?
I can work through Angie if that works.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. McKittrick. There's a lot of really good financial information. Yes, Vice Mayor.
And I think we appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I believe that city manager over here want us to pat him on the back because he patted his own back. So
that was D. That wasn't me. That was D.
It was you. I heard you. We say thank you. Good job.
Councilwoman Young, that's why I wanted to read over it myself to make sure we patting the right fellow on the back.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we'll move on to new business ordinances. We're on number 11. So I will turn this over to you, Mr. Martin, to read City Council Ordinance number 2025-2326 by title.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, you have before you on first reading ordinance number 2025-2326, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending section 70-127, paragraph B of the City of Lake City Code of Ordinances to add the conclusive cancer presumption provisions of Florida statute as established by section 112.1816 Florida statute, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinances, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. Should the council wish to adopt this on first reading, an appropriate motion would be to adopt ordinance 2025-2326 as read by title only.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. We don't have anybody signed up for public comment on this, so we will move straight into council comments. Do we have any council comments, questions?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve City Council Ordinance 2025-2326.
On first reading?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Sykes, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Carter?
Yay.
Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. All right. That moves us to what would have been item 12, but is now item 16, discussion and possible action, use of facility by persons and organizations not affiliated with the city. Vice Mayor Young.
Okay, and as you can see,
I asked that this be put on the agenda. Actually, I asked that it would be an emergency meeting, I think maybe a week or so ago, when I received a couple of calls that asking the question, why was Mr. Holgram, I believe that's his name, did I say it right? Holgram? Why was he in the building after hours? Of course, I couldn't answer the question. So I made a few phone calls inquiring of what was going on. And I understand, first of all, let me say, I don't know if any of the other council was aware or is aware that these meetings are taking place. And I know the city does allow some of Lake City citizens to use the buildings, but I think it's very imperative that only city employees use this city hall building. I believe that no one should be holding meetings with either downstairs nor upstairs, especially without the council knowing. First of all, I think it's a safety issue, and I do come in here sometimes when it's non-business hours. So if I had come in here and this man, I see walking here with my key or fob and see this person, first of all, you don't belong here? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it is what it is. You're not a city employee. That will put me in a really bad space. It probably would scare the daylights out of me. Because a person's in the building who, I'm a council person, and I don't even know that this person has access to the building. Second of all, it draws a concern that how do we choose who gets to come in this building and hold a meeting? If that's the case, we have to open the door to Lake City taxpayers to hold meetings in this building. I take it very serious. And the other thing is, we've had people who actually has come and asked to use our buildings, and we tell them no. This is the council. But one of us can make a decision that somebody use this city hall. Now, I can see if it's the Teen Town Pavilion, but when it comes to the city hall, that's very serious. And I want to know the council's, I want to know how you feel about it. Do you not think this is a serious matter? Do you not think that it's a unfair matter? And then I look at they get me a flyer, and the flyer has the city logo, and it says, class is free if you register online, or $10 at the door. Are we a club now? That's just not. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I see puzzled faces like others didn't know, just like I didn't know. It's very disheartening. To me, it's disrespectful. And it's embarrassing for someone to call Ms. Young, Councilwoman Young, and she don't know what's going on when meetings are being held in this city hall.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Young. Mr. Carter and then Ms. Harris.
I have so many questions. First question would be, what is that flyer? I haven't seen that. I don't have any. Is it an event supposed to be put on by the city? And then my next question would be, and it sounds like, did someone meet with the city manager here after hours? Is that what?
No.
No? Who? Were they here alone?
They had their company.
Were they with a member of staff of any kind?
No.
There was a company alone in the city hall after hours?
Somebody talk, because somebody know. Somebody knows. Somebody just need to say what it is.
My question, I guess, is, Ms. Young, you've added this to the agenda. I would assume that you would know. If someone in the
I
room.
want information. Do
someone-
you have any?
If someone, no, I'm confused.
Oh.
If someone in the room called you.
Give us clarity. Give us clarity. How did Mr. Holgram get in the building after hours?
Who is
Does he
Mr.
have a key?
Holgram?
Does he have a
Mr.
fob?
Mr. Rosenthal?
What Mr.
No,
Rosenthal wants to
He
answer.
doesn't have a key. He doesn't have a fog. I gave him access. I also plan on giving him access on the 12th and on the 17th. We're testing out a maker space and a business incubator. And on both of those days, either Dee or myself will be in the hall on those days, on the 12th and on the 19th. So, and we're gonna ask. We got the next item on the agenda. We're gonna see if the council wants to make it permanent. I wanted him to take a look at it and see if it was even feasible down there. That was some of the discussions.
Yeah, Ms. Harris, you had a question?
Maybe you should go into discussion of what the incubator consists of and why did you feel like it was,
So these are ideas, and I know that these are ideas that have been floated prior, right? The business incubator is actually an idea that I had for our old bank building, and then the makerspace or something like it for developing workforce and exposing kids to STEM programs so that they can put their hands and feel technology that they will likely be using, working with in the future, develop interest in them. So these are, and I know that Dee and I have actually had discussions on this, so that's probably why they were consulting with Mr. Holmgren on what the space would need, because he's the only one that's put that forward. However, the item, our next item, is not specifically for Mr. Holmgren. It is to open it up and declare that we are in support of a makerspace, that we would provide the space for it, and then that we would open it up for nonprofits, private nonprofits, or public entities, meaning the college, the school board, if another college wanted to use it or somebody along those lines, or another nonprofit wanted to try to develop a maker space for our children here in the community. So they were probably walking Mr. Holmgren through, and I imagine the event, which is this the drone event? Mm-hmm. So I've seen information about the drone event. It just looks interesting to me. Yes, Miss Vice Mayor Young's been waiting.
Yes, and I we're going to get to the incubator, but how do we select a person? And I'm just going to be honest and open. When I got the call, of course, the first thing I hear is, I saw that man going. That's the man who brought the gun in the city hall. He's the one the reason we have security out here. And now he gets to occupy the city hall. When I can't answer that, it's a problem. It's a problem. Now, why didn't we use the college? Why we didn't have the college to come in? I think that would have been received better.
I think that probably the reason is that he's the only one showing active interest currently. And so
it hasn't been, no one else been given the opportunity. It hasn't been advertised.
Sure.
When I say we selected him. He was a select.
No, he hasn't.
Right.
Nobody's been selected yet.
He's
Except for these events, I guess.
Okay.
But that's
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
discretion of Mr. Rosenthal.
Right.
The permanent selection will come after we decide to establish support, space, and all the other stuff. That
Absolutely.
If we decide to do that.
Right.
If we decide to do that. For these, I guess it was.
For the
God's
other two,
discretion,
yeah,
yeah.
for the other two situations, Mayor, either myself or Dee will be in the building on those dates, and those are on Saturdays.
I do have one quick question. I just want to clarify, because regardless of whether we agree on who's involved in it, I do want to make clear, Mr. Rosenthal, was someone met, let in, and then left in the building alone? Is that
Not that I'm aware of. I had Jason Dumas to let him in the building at one point. I'll probably have Jason Dumas to let him in the building on the 12th and I think it's the 12th and the 19th. But on those dates, I'll be there or Dee will be there on both those Saturdays.
I'm sorry. I'm referring to the incident that's Miss Young is talking about, which has already happened.
Right.
Was there a time when someone was in the building after hours without a member of staff?
I don't know whether a member of staff was there or not, but I do know I had let him use look at the building to see if it'll be practical for a maker space and a business incubator.
I don't mind, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor,
Hold
Mr.
on.
Holmgren?
Wait, Vice Mayor Young wants to say something.
If that's the case, if we're gonna allow someone to come in as a guinea pig, so to speak, we need to be here.
Okay.
We need to be here from the time they're let in, because now, Ms. Rosenthal, you say you gave access, and then you said, you told Josh to let him in.
Well, I gave access by telling Josh, I gave access by telling Josh to let him in. Josh wouldn't have let him in unless I gave him permission to do it.
Okay, and this
Or
is
Jason,
the thing.
rather.
This is the thing. If we open door for the incubator, and Mr. Holmgren become the person, what does that give the people? Oh, it was a setup. They know who they was gonna get anyway. We can't do this. We can't do this. He should not have been allowed the opportunity. And matter of fact, he had a meeting in here. It was a meeting. And if he tell the truth when he come up there, it was a meeting. He didn't come in here to access to the space. He didn't come here to see how it's gonna work. He held a meeting in here.
And I'll speak to that.
Not right.
Wait,
It's
hold on.
not
I'll speak to that because
justified.
D started working on the space, clearing out the space. I was meeting with Mr. Rosenthal, and D and Mr. Rosenthal told me that they were working on an incubator, not an incubator space, a maker space downstairs, and asked if I wanted to walk through it. And I said, yeah, I would like to see the vision on that and hear the vision on that, because that's something that I would actively like to see. I would actively like the city to take our assets that are unused and filled with junk and turn them into proactive spaces for our kids to learn actively, put their hands on technology. I think that's a great idea. So if you guys can set that up, do that. And so when Mr. Holmgren came in, he walked me through his ideas for the space, which has brought me and administration to say, well, let's see if it's the appetite of the council. Let's put it on here to see if, one, they want to develop a space like that for kids. Two, solicitate programs that may or may not be out there, whether it's private nonprofits. Open a time where anybody can throw in on that. And then the choice will be made through the RFQ positioning. So it's all above board.
I'm sorry.
Yep, sorry.
Do you realize, council, do we realize our city departments are all over the place in Lake City? That first floor, the truth of the matter is, our utilities need to be back there, our utility department. That place over there, the drive-through that's just sitting there, and we got code maintenance going to folk houses and giving them citations for not meeting codes, and here we are, we're not up to par with codes with that building sitting over there like that. We need to utilize that space with city department, city administration. Here's the council. Where do you all meet with when some of the our citizens come in and want to meet with us? Where do you meet? In the conference room?
Conference room or the little room outside the clerk's room.
The little room that I wouldn't want to go back there if it's after hours. They get off from work 5 o'clock. I don't want to go back there in that cut. It's so much utilization for us down there. We need to make it make sense.
Ms. Terrace, you've been wanting to speak.
Okay, you got me when you said about the gun. Okay, I want to be clear before I make a statement. Am I clear? Or just make it clear with me. The gentleman that came in here with the gun is the gentleman that was let inside by himself downstairs to do the incubation thing.
When he was with me, he was not by himself.
Okay, well, I ain't
Yeah.
talking about your incident. I'm talking
So
about.
I don't know.
When
He
somebody
doesn't,
gave
I
her
don't
a
think
call.
the mayor, do you even know about this meeting?
Well, no.
Nobody can
Well-
say what happened in this, two people in this building, at least two people. Why nobody knows?
Dee, you've been quarterbacking this. You want to speak to it? I mean, was it?
Well, Mayor, I can give you a stance on where I was.
Sure.
I did speak with Mr. Holgram, and I got permission through Don, and we did agree to the 2 days in July. That was just to use the building, well, for the meeting. But we never had any plans for permanent. It was going to come at a later date. Nothing
Yeah.
has been actually installed or renovated or anything to the makerspace yet. My understanding, it was just used for the 2 days. The day that's in question for somebody being in here, I'm not quite sure on the exact date, so I don't have any comment on that.
Mr. Carter, then
A
Vice Mayor
question
Young.
for clarity, because again, no one else brought this up. So I'm just trying to understand, because I don't think it's been made clear at all. When was this meeting and who was there? And I ask because, Ms. Young, you seem to know there was a meeting and there were people there. I'm assuming it sounds like a member of staff called you instead of their manager and brought it up. So
Oh,
someone told you.
no, I didn't say no staff told me.
Well, who told you?
Citizen.
I said, y'all, you know what?
Okay, I'm sorry. I assumed that it must be a member.
So there was another citizen in the
was
building?
One was passing,
Oh.
wasn't in the building. One was passing when he was walking in the building. And that's why I'm kind of, well, who let him in?
So luckily, a citizen, a mysterious citizen,
Not
passed the
mysterious.
moment he was walking in the building, and then called you and said that one particular guy that did that thing is walking in the building.
What?
I'm just trying to figure out when was this?
What was he doing?
When was this?
What was the meeting?
A day.
Oh, you raise your hand.
Yeah, Mr.
Attorney.
Mr. Martin. Yes, he's here. Hold on, Mr. Martin.
Please.
So I can tell you that it was probably in my first week here as an employee. So Monday was the 16th. It would have been 17, 18, 19, like 19th or 20th of June. Could have been early the following week. I'm not sure of the day. I was here in the evening after hours setting up my office, and Mr. Holgram and Ms. Daniel were chairing a board meeting for the Makerspace Board downstairs in the old customer service area after hours, and as far as I know, I was the only person here.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the same incident that Ms. Young is talking about. That was something that I did observe and experience.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to agree with Ms. Young that is completely unacceptable. It's we don't have any sort of agreement with that organization
Sure.
at the moment for them to rent the space, lease the space, and that. So to be clear, I agree with you. Whether or not we make a makerspace and who is involved in it is a whole different topic. But I don't think we should have organizations just meeting in the downstairs of City Hall after hours with no staff present, or at least no staff's present with the purpose of looking out for them, et cetera, et cetera. There's probably plenty of insurance issues with that.
Vice Mayor Young.
You can call Mr. You can call Mr.
Well, Mr. Rosenthal wants to say something.
Well, I gave him permission to be down there to look at the makerspace on that date that's in question. Looking at this, if we keep doing the same things that we've always done, we're going to get the same results. I'm doing things somewhat differently. In retrospect, maybe I should have alerted the entire council that I was going to have somebody down there today. The attorney was there, and we were there earlier. So I take full responsibility for that. But I also allowed him to be here on the 12th and on the 19th. Either myself or Dee will be here on those days.
Vice Mayor.
So, attorney, did you know? Were you here? Were you the sitter?
I was not tasked with
You didn't know what
overseeing.
was going on, did
I
you?
really was kind of surprised to see them
Thank
there
you.
myself.
Thank you. Just as if one of us had walked in here, it would have frightened me. Why? If I had just known. But the other thing is, name another. I don't know if he's 501(c)(3), is he licensed or any of that? But name one more in Lake City you would have allowed to do that.
Probably none to meet after hours. Yeah, none. Yeah.
I guess that's kind of gets to be a real amorphous question.
Yeah.
I don't know that if the Rotary Club of Lake City called the city manager and said, we have an emergency and need a space. Do you have a space we could use? I don't know that he would say, no, Rotary Club, you can't use it. To be clear, I'm not necessarily angry, but I do think if in this circumstance, I certainly wouldn't want anyone left alone in a city building where a air conditioner vent falls on their head and, whatever, and there's no insurance or what have you. There's so many different separate things kind of getting blended together here. I don't think we should have people who we don't have any sort of formal agreement with using the building really anytime alone or et cetera. But a lot of this conversation is blending with the ordinance we haven't talked about yet.
I
With
have
the
one
resolution.
more question before we get to the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
And that question is, so he has 2 meetings set up. He has a meeting on the 19th. What is he going to do on the 19th that he didn't do on, was it the 19th then? 18th, 19th
12th.
then?
I'm not sure of the
Yeah,
exact
pretty
date.
close. So what is he going to do? What are you wanting from him? What is he doing? You're not even here.
I think I mentioned, Councilwoman, that either I or D will be here on the 12th and the 19th of those
My
2 meetings.
question is, why does he need to come back? What is he coming back
Because
to do?
because he asked and I allowed him to.
There you go.
The discretion.
Who else can ask? Who else can ask and go in that building?
Mr. Mayor, I don't think that's a fair question.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
I can imagine a dozen 501c3s or nonprofits that may ask a favor of the city and get the same answer. I mean, if the United Way called and asked the same thing, I don't think there's some sort of special treatment. I know that in this case, this particular gentleman has actively been trying to pursue a very specific thing for a long time, and he's spoken to us a bunch of times about it. So it does seem relevant to that thing, but I don't think that you can't ask who else
ahead,
would be
go ahead.
allowed. I'm just saying,
Okay.
Mr. Rosenthal.
don't know.
Well, when I first got here, I met Mr. Holcomb. He was talking about a Maker's Mart and other things like that. Then we got to the point where we were considering a Maker's Mart. I asked him to come in and take a look and see what we could do in this area. So as I said earlier, I take full responsibility for that.
You know what? I'm going to say, I wasn't going to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's a young lady in here right now asked, she was going to use her money, that city property, that drive-through, looking at her now, and it takes me back. She was going to use her money to have a pharmacy. Oh, what a perfect place for it. But all kind of stipulations, or not stipulations, all kind of reservations, liability, everything we could think of, council and administration, was thrown at her, and she couldn't use that building.
Well, I don't think. Go ahead. Sorry.
It belongs to the city.
Yep.
So now, I probably can think of someone else, but I'm not gonna go there. What I'm gonna say is, it's not right, and I'm here to represent the people. I'm speaking on behalf of the people, and I agree myself, it's not right.
Also representative of the people, I know that we've gone through the process of beginning to create agreements so that we can allow either public or nonprofits to use our facilities for public purpose, right? So we didn't have that process a year ago. We didn't even think about that process or talk about that process. This board has talked about that process here about 3 months ago or so, and I know that that's actively being worked on because I asked Dee and Clay where that process was whenever I first heard that we were considering number 12, right?
You're talking about the incubator?
No, I'm talking about the process of allowing private nonprofits or public entity use of our assets, right? So what that means is the fella that wants to do the community garden, and put it on public space. We have assets that the community could benefit from in use, and they're not being used, they're not being cared for, they're not to the highest and best, and they're not helping our kids, they're not helping our old folks, they're not helping all these people. We have begun that process, whereas we didn't have that process before. And it takes into account liability, it takes into account insurance, it takes into account their the composition of the entity itself, and making sure that, especially if they're working with children or dealing with children, that they go through those extensive background checks that we've talked about here ad nauseum. So we haven't gotten to the process where anybody can operate in that space, but we're moving toward it, and we've been moving toward it since roughly March. Vice Mayor Young was.
It
with
has
all
been
respect, yeah.
mentioned. It has been mentioned, but it has not been discussed. It has been mentioned, but I guarantee you, nobody here thought that it would be in the city hall.
Oh, I did, and we have discussed it.
In the city hall?
Yeah, I thought downstairs. Actually, I thought downstairs would be a perfect place for a business incubator, so small businesses or makerspace could set up, so that whenever we're having our and blocked off from the rest of the building, mind you, just like the entrance to up here is, with the glass and the security, we could do that in the same thing, and then it could be open on Saturdays whenever we're having our markets out here. Folks could meander around out there. They could also check out what's going on inside City Hall and see what we're doing to engage their kids or to engage small businesses for growth in our community. Those are my thoughts.
All right,
Ms.
let me hurry up and get in here. Okay, I don't think Vice Mayor Young thing is that what he's proposing, it's a wonderful thing. Let's not get that construed with, why was he in this building after hours by himself? And I said it when I made my first statement about the gun. All right, now when she said about the gun, I remember I didn't follow all of it then, but I know it was a big situation as far as him bringing the gun in here, and it was a comment made about shooting somebody or what have you. I don't know, but to me, because we have domestic terrorists right here in America, we don't want nobody to use us to say, okay, they're mad at Mayor Noah. Let us use your facility, and they're downstairs, and we come up here for a council meeting and something crazy happen. Bomb goes off, anything could happen. So her concern, I think, is valid. So I believe that for future purposes, and who gave him authorization said that we're gonna use him per se? Is there anybody else that wanted to do the same thing? Because I remember not long ago, he was asking about the the old bank down there. And I believe that was voted down then. And so now he's in the actual building, and I don't recall voting on him being in the building or not. So that is a concern. So what he's proposing, it's a good thing. And for what I could remember, and I can't say, exactly what was being said, but it was some disliking of a certain people. And I know Councilman Hill thing was, well, how do we know that you're going to be fair across the board if the city allows this to happen? I don't recall him giving an answer. That is a problem with me. So my thing of it is, I believe when anything like that happens, I believe it should come up here, whereas just like with the young lady that Ms. Young was talking about, everybody voted on it. I think with his situation, everybody should vote on it as well. We do have a lot of properties. We do. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for those properties, and whatever happens, say for instance, something happens on our property, we're going to be the taxpayers. We are going to be paying for that. I don't want to be put in a position whereas I have to be explaining why this and why that. Let's do the same thing that we did to that young lady. Let's do the same thing for him. And I don't know him from Adam's apple, so let's not pretend that I just don't. But if we're going to make rules for one, let's make it for all across the board and handle it for that.
Mr. Carter.
Just real quick, some information. When he previously approached us about using the old bank building for the space, we determined that we could not lease the space because we bought it with bonds, so we can only sell it or use it ourselves. So I don't think we voted. No, we didn't vote no on anything, to be clear. But this next ordinance ends with us asking for proposals.
Yeah.
So he can put one in, and
But then we vote
any number
on
of
it.
people, college can put one in. Like the idea is, The idea is, do we like the concept of makerspace, and then move on from there. It will be voted on by everybody. The plan that's in the next resolution is suggesting as much, that the city would be given proposals, and I would imagine we would discuss said proposals and make a decision
So
if we want to do it at
So
all.
what you're saying is, if another individual comes here and want to utilize a building, they get to meet downstairs by themselves?
No.
Well, that is her concern.
No, so it's for makerspace specific. So this would be for makerspace specific. And back to the pharmacy use, again, we didn't have a process. We had never discussed the use of.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, me neither. We had never discussed the use of, because we've discussed it now, and you have discussed it now. Whenever we talked about the community garden, we never talked about that. So it's the same. It's the same process, though. It's city assets, us having a process to where somebody who's providing public good can use. It's not, though.
That's outside. If you blow that up over there, there ain't nothing
Well, it's
gonna come
not
up with trees and stuff like that. But you blow this up, we're in here on a Monday night.
Who's blowing stuff up?
Yeah,
I'm just saying, we don't know. We don't know where dangers are. Somebody could come in here and they have a friendly face, but then they could be just upset with the council, upset with the mayor. Don't act like that's far-fetched. Please don't play with me in my face.
I'm not playing with you in your face. Somebody's gonna blow me up, Mr. Jernigan.
Mr. Harris, were you done, ma'am? I don't want to interrupt you.
I'm done.
Okay, I don't blame you at all. Some people seems that they don't understand. But anyway, I met with Mr. Holgram, and I like the idea that he's proposing, and I'm all for it. However, I think what Ms. Young concern is valid. I think what Ms. Harris' concerns are, they're very valid, and
James Carter.
Mr. Carter, very, very valid. You understand? In other words, this may not make sense to you guys, but it definitely makes sense to me. You know, a lot of people are very smart. They're very intelligent. I guess I'm just average. Everything that we're talking about now, had he brought it to us first and then inquired about it, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. We have been on item number 12, I guess. And that would have been the best thing for him to do. Don't go down there. Don't put the cart before the horse. And again, I'm all for it, but just put something out there and maybe talk to you, Mayor, and he's the only one you're talking to. Maybe talk to the city manager, the only one that they talk to. But everybody needs to know. I know I need to know, and I appreciate when somebody call me up and say, "Hey, can I meet with you about having a function?" I'm yes, please give me a time and date, and I'm gonna try to be there. That way, I'm well aware on what's going on. Now, I'm aware. I don't know about the meetings, but I know about the 12th and the 17th and 19th. I do know about those things because I got invited to those meetings, and I'll do what I can to make it. But if I can't make it, I can't make it. But Holgram, he knows what he's doing, and I actually thought that it was going to be put out there for bid, and somebody else can try to get the same things accomplished that he's trying to get accomplished, or we use Mr. Holgram. I mean, and again, I think that's the problem is someone did this without the permission of the whole council instead of just one person or two. And even the city attorneys, he said he was shocked when people were coming in. He's a little bit off. So think about that, and I hope that clarifies some of the issues or concerns. And in the future, going forward, just make sure that the whole city council is aware. None of us make a decision. I can't just go tell Mr. Holgram, say, "Hey, have your meeting downstairs." I can't do that. You know, I want to make sure that everybody's aware exactly what's going on. I'm only one vote though. Just think about that.
I have a question for
Yes, Vice
Jernigan,
Mayor Young.
if you don't mind.
What, Mr. Jernigan, she's got a question for you.
Yeah. Councilman Jernigan, you was invited to the meeting. What is the meeting about? Did he give you any information as to what the meeting is about? What are y'all gonna do down there?
I don't.
You gonna access?
Well, I'm not. Again, I'm not as smart as Mr. Holgram and some of the people that we're around, but I can imagine he's going to be talking about how he's going to establish young people getting jobs and maybe getting some other people in here from the airport. Not the airport, but is that Timco, Hayco? He'll probably get some people over there. Probably get a chance to introduce some of the equipment that he has and some of the things that he's going to try to get accomplished in Lake City downstairs. So
That doesn't sound like assessing the space to me. That sounds like planning.
Yeah, he's that's what he told me. He's definitely in the planning. As I thought he was already in. I'm like Mr. Holgram. I'm like, yes, you're already in. I don't know who you talk to, but I'm a firm believer in what he's got going on here when it comes to these kids and giving them something to do. Matter of fact, I talked to a lady, a young lady. I think she's like 16, 17, and I was going to try to get her to be at that event as well. I guess you want to call it an event. That's what I would say, because he told me, he said, go ahead and register online, because if you come in the building, it's going to be $10 if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. So I'm gonna make sure I register online, because I'm not paying to get in this building. You can forget about that. Not this building where I work at. But that's what I got out of it. And you can read it on the flyer. I mean, I don't think he's got anything to hide. He's got permission to do what he's doing from whoever, and I guarantee you he didn't just say, I'm just going to use City Hall for incubator or whatever. He's gotten permission, but he didn't get the whole council's permission, and that's an opinion from what I'm gathering. Okay.
And may I say, Mayor, I think it's a great idea. And
Yes.
Mr. Hogan been talking about this for years, but it's not for the City Hall. It's not for this building. And I even asked them before, why don't you go to Richardson and talk with them and become a part under their umbrella? There's places to do that, but this is not the place for it.
Let me, this has been brought up 2 or 3 times for presentation in our agenda prep meetings. And I only allow 1 presentation per meeting to preserve our clarity of thinking and to keep us from going till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, making decisions that affect major parts of our budget. So that could have pushed it back a couple times. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm going to keep doing that, because I think that it's good for our thinking process, and we need to have our thought process well preserved while we're up here so that we can think clearly through these things and not be fatigued into the night going over this stuff. So I know that it has been on the presentation list at least for 2 agenda prep meetings, so that one's on me. But Mr. Rosenthal, you had something?
Yes, in retrospect, we probably should have alerted the entire board instead of just a few members on the board, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. But I still think that the idea is good. The very next agenda item is going to open it up so that anybody who wants to present that type of information to the city and in the area can do it. So it's not just Mr. Hogan, who was kind enough to help me get an idea of how it would work and how we could do it, and I appreciate that.
Now I'm really confused.
Yep.
You say a few members on the board. I didn't know. Harris didn't know. Carter didn't know. Who were the few members?
Well, I talked to the mayor. I've talked to Councilman Jernigan. I've talked to Councilmember Carter.
You ain't know.
Mr. Carter.
There's 2 very different things going on here.
Yeah.
It's 2.
I'm aware that he has spoken to Mr. Holmgren about using that space and how it may be used if it was turned into a space like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What I was saying, and that's what we talked about. I don't know about everybody else. I meet with staff every single week, at least the clerk, attorney, and manager every single week, and I go through everything going on, and I get a really good idea of what's going on. I don't know about everybody else, but in those meetings, I get told all kind of stuff. And a lot of those things are things that they probably wouldn't call us and tell us, just stuff going on. But in this case, because I'm asking what's going on, and I'm very involved, I'm aware that he had a conversation with Mr. Holmgren and talked about this stuff. Mr. Holmgren and I also met, like Mr. Jernigan did, and he shared his vision for the thing. He called me and said, can we get lunch? I'd love to tell you what I'd like to do. We had lunch. He told me what he'd like to do. So I'm aware of these things as a concept. But again, and like I said with you a minute ago, I was not aware of a private board meeting for an organization in the city after hours, and I'm not okay with that. But to be clear, I don't know in our code, in our codes of conduct, I don't know if that is something the city manager has technical authority to allow. If he does, well then maybe if we don't like it, we change it. But I don't have that book memorized. I don't have the ordinance memorized either. So if he's able to do that, then we can say, hey, we don't like that, and move forward and do that differently from now. Because I agree with that. The problem is we've blended these two things in real hard. It seems like we all kind of agree that's not a good precedence to set. Meeting in the building ahead of time and all that kind of stuff. But I think we should probably move on to item 12 and actually officially talk about that.
Okay, before we move on,
Vice Mayor Young.
let me say this, and I believe this goes for everybody. I talk to this administration every day of the week and sometimes on the weekends. So I think all of us are just as involved as Councilman Carter.
Maybe.
It's every day, not no maybe. Y'all know they done told me to get sick of me. But all I know is have good insurance because I'm going to keep coming and I'm going to keep calling. And I'm serious.
All right, that closes item number 16. If nobody else has anything to say, all right, we'll move on to item number 12. So again, it's different. City Council Resolution number 2025-095. This is establishing the support, space, and solicitation of a makerspace user from a charitable nonprofit and or public governmental. Now, we do have public comment on this. We have Dr. Mayo, and we have Mr. Holmgren after. So,
good evening, Council. I'm Dr. Mayo, and I am here to voice a strong opposition to Resolution 2025-095. Not because of the concept, but because of the corrupt, dishonest, and discriminatory process that led to it. Over a year ago, I stood before the council and presented a proposal through my for-profit business with full flexibility and willingness to operate under a nonprofit if needed, to open a drive-through pharmacy in a city-owned facility. Why? Because this community is in the middle of a healthcare desert. There is no convenient, accessible, affordable way for many residents, especially the elderly, disabled, and underserved, to get their medication. My proposal would have helped close that gap, offered workforce opportunities, and provide real relief to people you claim to serve. I didn't ask for a handout. I didn't ask for favors. I asked to serve the public, and I played a very role in that asking. I worked in good faith with the intern city manager and multiple council members. For months, I waited while you claimed to be working on a solution. I was misled, pushed aside, and strung along. I followed the rules and remained patient, professional, and hopeful. I agreed to cover all costs, bring the building up to code, assume full liability, list the city as an insured party, and follow every applicable healthcare and building standard. But instead of action, I got delays and legal roadblocks. I was ultimately denied with no clear, consistent reason ever being provided. The city cited legal issues, procurement requirements, the inability to work with private entities, the fears of liability, just to name a few. I was told that an RFP would require proof of governmental need and careful wording to avoid lawsuits. I even asked whether the procurement rules applied to healthcare when healthcare was a needed necessity and received no response. I now believe the decision was made to block me from the beginning. And now Resolution 2025-095 is doing exactly what I was told could not be done. You're offering a publicly owned building to a privately operated 501c3 to develop drones as part of a STEM initiative. Is it a different use? Yes, but the structure, ownership, and process are the same, and I was denied for it. This is not a legal contradiction, it's a political one. It's selective governance. Let me be clear, I'm not here asking to resubmit, I'm here for accountability. I followed the rules while the city created new ones for someone else. That's a systemic failure. And even more concerning, the public is just now learning that Mr. Holgram has been using the city hall, a person who brought a firearm to City Hall to target and intimidate specific individuals, a man who's also an IT specialist, which raises serious concerns about unauthorized access to city systems, sensitive records, and cybersecurity. Yet he has been quietly granted access while I, a licensed pharmacist with a plan to serve this community, was denied access to a vacant, unused building. That's not a lapse in oversight, that's a reckless abuse of trust. So tonight, I'm putting the council on notice. My legal team will file an injunction to pause this resolution. We will pursue a full investigation into whether the city violated standards of fairness, transparency, and equal protection. This raises serious legal concerns of viewpoint discrimination favoring one private entity over another, retaliation or arbitrary governance, applying rules selectively, procedural abuse, denying access to one proposal while quietly greenlighting another.
Thank you, Dr. Mayo.
I can't finish.
Bring it in, Fred.
I'll bring it in. I'm almost done. You don't get to deny people in public and then reward others in private. This is not transparency, this is exclusion, and it's not only unjust, it's unjustifiable, and it will not stand. This is no longer about access to a building, this is about equal treatment, integrity, and the law. Pass this resolution tonight if you want, but understand
Ms.
this,
Mayo.
you're not voting on a maker space, you are voting to codify discrimination, you are voting
Thank you, Ms.
to
Mayo.
trigger legal action. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We also have Mr. Holmgren for public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. Couple of things. I want to say that the sad truth is,
Can you speak into the microphone?
the
Thank you.
sad truth is, this is a feel-good story where government actually tried to go out of its way to work and accomplish something. I'll backfill some of the story for you. I approached the city manager and Terry to rent out Teen Town for this event. That was my preference. It was already rented out, and out of kindness, he came back and he said, if I could fit you in another portion of the city, this property, and supervise you, would you be able to use the downstairs? And I came and I looked at it, and I said, I could use the downstairs to have 15 people come and learn how to build a drone and how to program a drone in our workshop. I said, this would work, it's big enough. So that's how we started. And then I was never in the building unsupervised after hours. I did come just before 5 o'clock to meet with my board on a specific day when you were under construction and when he was moving his offices, and they may have felt like it was okay to leave me alone because he was still in the building. And I was never in the building when there wasn't at least one government employee in the building, so I want that clear. No one did any dereliction of duty, but they were being kind and saying, here's a workaround. Maybe we can kindly use this unused space, which we'll have cleaned up by then, to have a class. And while you're at it, he ran the idea by me. He said, would this space work for you? Because you did your presentation, could this space actually be a maker space, or is it too clean? And I said, no, I can split and have a clean space where I have computers and I have robotics, and I can have a commercial industrial space somewhere else, and we have a campus. And so what we were proposing to do was to build in computers, electronics, aerospace, and just things that would be beneficial for workforce development downstairs. But I've only got 20 seconds left, so I'm going to say this. If you ever repeat that lie about me carrying a gun in City Hall, I'll sue you. because it's not proven. And before I ran for city council,
This is off topic.
before I ran for city council, I was cleared by the state attorney's office for that
you, Mr.
claim.
Holmgren.
So you're
Thank you.
gonna run into
I
legal
have to
trouble
stop
if
you,
you
Mr.
do that.
Holmgren. Thank you. First, I would like to hear from Mr. Martin, and then we'll get into council comments. Okay, on Mr. Martin.
So, Mr. Mayor, I was actually going to request a brief recess before we go into what I think may be some extensive comments on this subject.
Okay. Well, before we take recess, I will let Vice Mayor Young speak.
His disposition right here already shows. Why did anger come out of that? Come on, now you hear.
Well, Mr. Holmgren, we can't. I can't have you shouting from the back of the room,
Other thing,
please.
And you know, in the beginning, it wasn't even about Mr. Holmgren, but now it's about Mr. Holmgren. He said that city manager said, "Would this space work for you?" What does that mean? Would this space work for you? Talking about space makers, right? Maker space. Would this space work for you? Sounds like there are already some made up minds, and it's not right. It's not right. And I would say just do away with it. Take it off the books, because it's already bring about a lot of questions.
Mr. Carter.
Just really quickly, on that specific point, no one else has come to us a half a dozen times trying to get a makerspace made. I don't think it's crazy to say, would this space work for the idea you have? I don't think that in and of itself is ludicrous. If there were like 10 people or even 2 who brought that particular idea to us, then in that case, I would agree with you that is completely inappropriate.
It could be 10.
But I have, also that's an important detail that I wish Mr. Rosenthal or anybody would have mentioned. You know, the use of the space. If Mr. Holmgren approached the city about renting Teen Town was rented out, and then the city said, but we have this empty room if you'd like to rent this space for your event. That's a little different and wasn't how it was explained earlier. But if that is the case, I can at least understand trying to pursue renting the space out for his event. I didn't know that.
Do you know?
Also, I've been pushing Don. I know for things to help workforce development, and so him asking an entity, "Does this space work for you?" is essentially asking somebody if this space works for an entity like yours. Does this space work for? Let's take Mr. Holmgren out of the scenario. Does this space work for the Columbia County Schools to do something here on the square? Does it work for the college to do something here on the square, et cetera, et cetera? So I've been talking to him about that. Yep, sorry. Nope. One more for Vice Mayor Young. Sorry, Mr. Martin, and then we'll let you run to the restroom.
Okay.
Sorry for the public embarrassment.
Hold it. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. I'm sorry. It'll come back. I'll get it after the break.
Let's take a 5-minute recess. On discussion. Check me back in, Phil. Call this meeting back to order. We are still on resolutions, item number 12. Discussion, any further discussion, comments? Will of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to point out just a couple things. The concept of a makerspace is a terrific one. They're all over the country. I've actually went into a couple of them. They were in bigger cities. They were real operations. And I did not inquire or dive into how much of a public-private partnership any of those were. The one I went to in Tennessee, I believe, was in a government building. But other than that, I don't know. But I know that the concept is terrific. I know that a heavy emphasis on STEM as we move into our 21st century with AI and computing and IT being such important industries, I think that it's absolutely imperative that leadership encourage those sort of concepts. And I also want to point out that I think it has been stated or suggested that doing this and not something else is in some way, I think the term was codifying discrimination. Mm-hmm. I would just like to state for the record that the decision that was made in that regard was made by a council made up of very different group of people. Management of the city was a very different group of people. And I don't think that by suggesting we should pass this and begin the process of trying to create a makerspace for our community has anything to do with anything previous. Regardless of who's running it, regardless of who's contributing to it, I think the concept is good, and I would support pursuing the concept. Before making any kind of motion, obviously, I'll let anybody else say anything they'd like.
We're back to discussion. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Vice Mayor Young?
I don't have a problem with the concept. I don't totally agree with it, but I don't have a problem with the concept, but definitely not in the city hall. And it's been stated, we have properties and we use other properties, not the city hall.
My thought, yeah, go ahead, Vice Mayor. My thought on, I'm not against using City Hall for it. I think there are ways to seal off the rest of the building. The idea that it's here on the square with shops and things that families can partake or people can see pretty publicly, I think is a very attractive thing, especially when you have companies coming in town to check out if they want to locate here, and then maybe they go to the restaurants downtown. They tour around. They always tour around downtown to see what it's like. And for them to see something where we're focused on workforce development, especially in the advanced technology fields, I think is very attractive from that standpoint. So that's where I think I would disagree with you. It doesn't have to be this space. I think this space is very attractive because of that. So that's my thought on it. Mr. Carter.
I would like to say that I get Ms. Young's point on this space for that. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I have had as a personal small frustration since joining the board is the fact that there's sort of a diaspora of city departments. You know, there's some people over there, some people over there, some people over there. And of course, the downstairs was previously customer service. It is set up well for it, being that it's kind of a bank space. It's very similar in its uses. And obviously not trying to open up a can of worms with the idea of moving a department. But one of the things we've talked about, and one of the things I thought about a lot when discussing, do we need a new city hall? Are we going to fix this building and make the repairs necessary? Whatever we do, as many city departments as can be in one building together is, to me, is complete common sense. You shouldn't have to go to random places all over town to visit this department or this department, generally speaking. I know that right now, growth management and customer service are in the old Columbia Bank building over there. I don't know if it's been discussed or even thought about the idea of moving customer service back down here now that this place is usable. I know that there have been conversations, just conversations with the county about putting our growth management in the same building as their growth management, which I think is a good idea for anyone in town who would like to handle stuff and that doesn't necessarily know if it's a county or a city thing to handle. The idea that the city and county's growth management in the same building is not a crazy one to me. And let's just say, still just thinking here, if we did put customer service back downstairs, there are benefits to having more departments in one building. If we did that and growth management moved, we would have an empty building there that could also serve the purpose or any purpose that we'd like. I'm not opposed to, or I don't strongly disagree or agree, but I get what Ms. Young is saying. We probably could put better use to a large portion of City Hall being for city use specifically. However, I also understand what you're saying with the markets and things like that, but I think that those are details that we should consider when deciding what spaces to use for what.
I mean, to be fair, that's also a downtown building.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Yes, ma'am.
that was my other note. Thank you, Mr. Carter, for bringing that back to my recollection. We have so many irons in the fire, so to speak. All this going on, we have the city attorney who we have right here now, right at our hands, and all these tasks that he had before he became in-house. We got to get this stuff to a completion. We got too many open projects, really. We have to make a decision about a city hall. We keep putting it off and putting it off. Are we going to build a city hall, or are we going to repair this building and it remain city hall? We got a lot to deal with already instead of constantly bringing in these large tasks. Why don't we just clean house? Put this stuff here to the side and clean house, the rooms we already have. Clean them up, organize them. And then this other stuff may make sense to us. Yes, because it doesn't make any sense to me now. So it may bring us to a space where now things make sense. But we got too much going on. We have a city attorney here now. About how many tasks do you have undone?
I probably have 3 or 4 dozen tasks in process somewhere.
Absolutely. And they need to be brought to completion. It makes no sense. And we laughing, but this is a serious matter. And we keep bringing on loads, bringing someone in the city hall. What are we going to do with the city hall?
Mr. Mayor, I think that is a really good point. Obviously, it's not on the agenda to discuss City Hall now, but maybe we do need to start thinking about workshopping and figuring out exactly what we are or aren't going to do or are or aren't going to pursue with that. And to be clear, though, this ordinance does not specify City Hall as the space.
No.
Either, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just to avoid being misled, because I may not have drawn it out as clearly as I should have, but there is a place in here where it does state that the subject property being considered is the former customer service lobby on the ground floor of City Hall.
Packet, but not
No.
That's my fault for not calling that out earlier and making sure that was highlighted in the resolution, but that is what the resolution identifies.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
It's kind of buried in there.
Mr. Jernigan.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Anyway, we could just look at this this resolution 095 another time. Just put it on the back burner for now because it appears that we haven't. Again, we put something out there ahead of time, and now we don't know which way we want to go. Well, a lot of us know which way we want to go, but I like for everybody to be happy with whoever comes into City Hall. I definitely don't want anybody upset. I don't want the one that's proposing, and I don't want any of the council members to be upset as well. So I'm just going to recommend or suggest that we table it for now.
Would you like to go ahead and make a motion to table it?
But yes, I would like to table resolution number 2025-095.
We have a motion and a second to table City Council Resolution number 2025-095. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Sykes, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Jernigan,
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
No.
Mayor Walker?
No. All right, on to number 13, which is City Council Resolution number 2025-097. This is task assignment number 2 for, I'm going to butcher it, Jamur, for the sewer expansion at 247 around Quail Heights. So, we don't have anybody signed up for public comment. Sorry, I stalled out there. Don't have anybody signed up for public comment, so we'll move straight into council comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve City Council Resolution 2025-097.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you both. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Sykes, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Carter?
Yay.
Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. All right. Now we're on to item number 14. So this is discussion and possible action of summer game night sponsorship. City Council member Chevelle Young, would you like to present it, and then we'll have public comment? We do have one member of the public that wants to comment on this.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Summer game night, and I think after talking to the city manager and assistant city manager, they kind of gave me a more of a kind of different view on what I was proposing. So we have 2 game rooms here in the city, in Lake City. The game room on Marion, and that is the Space Station Arcade. And I visited this game room, and I was amazed. I have a 9-year-old, and I think I want to stay in there longer than him. It was really an awesome space. And then I was made aware by, I think it was one of the managers, that there's another game room. So the same night I went there to visit that game room. I don't see him in here, but I do see the operator of Space Station Arcade. Now, this is what I saw when I was in a game room. Now, with our summer camp, that's held at Richardson Community Center. With our summer camp, this time we did not include the 13, 14, and 15-year-olds, because really there's nothing for them, and they just get left out. And this is where we really need, these are the ones we really need to pull in and get their attention and show them some love, and so that's what I thought about when I went into this arcade. I said, this is where we can bring our 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. And I thought initially that to do a couple of game nights before they go back to school, where we just have a night. And I think I had the fire chief or assistant fire chief, one of them went there and gave the number of capacity. And I think this owner here has it on his flyer. I can't hardly read his. But anyway, but the idea, and this is the idea that I thought we could do. I said the police department, who really we need a way for the police department to gain or regain a relationship with the young people, and especially this age group. But I know we can't really pin it to a certain age group, but at least they'll be included. But what I called it Operation Game Talk. And that means talk about things, whether it's talk about basketball, whether it's talk about sports, whether it's talk about finances, whether it's talk about whatever we can get out of them as far as a conversation. Have a conversation with them, positive conversation. And just say, for instance, you see a guy's playing basketball on the court, and just say the chief passed by, and he just stopped and, present himself and have a conversation with them, and they'll get vouchers. And these vouchers are to enter the game room. So they've kind of gained a relationship with them. You know, our young people today, the generation today, you almost got to give them something to get something. It's not like when we were coming up. It's you do it. So when I found out there was another game room, and I went there, and of course he has a lot more games, maybe like for older ones, I'm not sure, but there were little ones in there when I went in there. The only thing I see on his though is there's alcohol, so y'all might wanna y'all may can give an idea of how you would do that. But with they'll have these vouchers. I even said the council, right? And the chief and city manager said even the fire department involve all of us to gain a relationship with the young people. So we'll even have vouchers. And if we see an opportunity to give vouchers, now one thing the boys, who's here all the time? Boy Scouts. I would like to use them as if you all agree. I would like to use them as the first to get the vouchers, because they've just done so much, and they're willingly working and all of that. So I would love to use the voucher with them first. Now I would like to have you all's input to see how this operation would work, as far as how often do we get the vouchers in so that the payment go out, or do you think it's a good idea? What are your thoughts?
Mr. Carter.
Is the idea, well, I guess it's kind of amorphous at the moment anyhow, but is the idea that there is an event or multiple events, like a game night or 3 game nights or something like that?
That's what I thought initially, and I believe it was the city manager who said, it's a good idea, and I would like to see it go, what did you say, 6 months, right? What did you say?
Yeah, probably if you're going to have a long-lasting effect, probably a minimum of about 6 months or so.
6 months.
If you're trying to have a long-lasting effect.
Are you saying is the suggestion then to do an event every 6 months, or?
Probably consistently for 6 months.
So I guess what I was asking is, like, if it's, as I was hearing you, obviously, my thought was if you're doing an event, obviously, I know one of those places, I don't know how they both charge. I don't know if it's a single door charge or if it's a period of time. A friend of mine goes to Retro with his son all the time, and I've been there a couple of times with them. And I know he does like a wristband, kind of like, I think, I don't know, like the fair or something like that would do. So
I think it would be best if we do the vouchers that way, because we have to keep account of them.
And like a voucher would be like a trade-in for a wristband kind of thing?
Right.
Okay.
So they'll take him the voucher.
Let me clarify real quick. We do have public comment on this, but when something solidifies as a possible action, that's when we'll have public comment, okay?
And also, I think this, I noticed this, not to derail it, but it is relevant, sort of. This item says discussion and possible action, except there's no, whatever summer game night sponsorship, obviously, there's 2 flyers for 2 places here, but there's no, I think when we have items like this, not just this one, it kind of happens sometimes, this should be discussion only, because the idea is being dreamed up now, which means that people don't get to see the agenda that came out Wednesday and know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think possible action, I feel like is, and not just this, to be clear, this all sounds like a good thing we should be coming up with an idea for, but I don't think, like, and giving staff direction is, I don't think the same as taking action being emotion, to be clear. I think these should be discussions, or if there was like a report to council by whoever's idea it was, like for instance, if in the packet there was like a typed up paragraph or so explaining the idea, so that the citizens had an idea to know ahead of time what we're talking about. Because summer game night sponsorship doesn't necessarily mean anything to someone who doesn't know what that is. So when they're getting the packet and they see that and there's just 2 flyers for places, I think it's premature to suggest that we take an action as an emotion on those things.
Summer game night sponsorship.
Most things on our agendas have dozens of pages of information. This had 2 flyers that neither of which say summer game night on them. So I'm looking out for the citizens and their ability to know what we're talking about ahead of time.
Summer game night, and these are the 2 game places. I don't understand why that need a paragraph or pages.
Everything else on an
Simple.
agenda tells you what it is. We don't have anything in our packet for the citizens to know what that is.
Mr. Carter, what
hold on.
what would, it's in your, oh, okay, you don't have it.
The flyers are in the packet.
What should the paragraph say?
So it should define what we're taking action on, right? So this is a discussion. We're having a discussion, and I think that, to clarify what Mr. Carter's saying, and stop me if I'm wrong, is that we have the discussion to have the action on our next agenda.
Right. To be clear,
because otherwise we're
Putting it off again.
like I just had to notice public comment. We don't have an action for him to speak on.
Right.
There is no public comment formed right now because we don't have a defined action. Once that action's defined, let's say that you wanted to create a public game night and fund it with X amount of dollars, that would be a defined public action. I think that our discussion is to form that action so that the public is noticed and knows what we're voting on so that they can come speak to it. And we do, this is a common thing that we've been doing, and it's really why some of our meetings go long. But to be clear, I love the idea. I actually like the idea of it being like a family Friday, right? So having a family Friday night for the next 6 months, where we take the first or second Friday of every month, and we have police, we have fire in those locations, we have council members in those locations to provide youth the opportunity to come on a night where they might be doing something untoward and have fun instead.
So we need to set an amount, and that was my hang up, because I even asked the question, how much can we allot for it? So what are we missing besides the amount?
The public notice, for them to understand what we're about to discuss, to understand what we're about to vote on so that they can speak to it.
To be clear, this is just my opinion. I don't think it's like required by state statute, but generally speaking, we provide a ton. Honestly, on some instances, more than enough and too much information. But generally speaking, we provide a lot of information on an item. What I'm saying is, this sounds great. I'm not in any way opposed to the concept, but we are actively inventing it right now as we're talking and working out what we think we'd like to do. So once we, in my opinion, once we come up with so we're going to, our suggestion is that we allot this much money and do this sort of thing, that then we put it on the next agenda as an item that is posted ahead of time, and citizens then go, this is something I want to go up there and say, I'm really for this is great, show support or not, because otherwise the only people who get to talk about, only citizens who get to talk about the item that we're inventing as we're standing here are the ones that happen to be at this meeting.
Okay, so whatever we need for the public to know, why can't we put it in place now? Can we do that as far as the discussion? How much would we allot for it?
Yeah, and so we would tell staff to come back with the action for us to vote on it at the next meeting.
Right.
Does that make
all
sense?
I'm suggesting.
We can't vote on it now.
We can,
Seems
but
simple enough.
we need to define it. And honestly, I think it's unfair to the public, right? Because they don't know what we're going to create here and vote on at that time. Everything that we vote on before discussion is clearly defined amounts, what the actions are going to be, how it's going to play out, right? But when we have a discussion and action tied to it. So discussion, I love discussion items. I think this is a great idea. And I like to have maybe beyond 6 months a regular occurrence. I think that would be great. Youth interdiction, it would be really great to play out for a long time. And it supports small local businesses. So I don't like it. I personally don't like it. Sorry, Ms. Harris. Sorry.
I was asking Don, do we have the money?
Mr. Mayor.
Hold on, Ms. Harris is speaking. And then
So I'm just wondering, great idea. Age is great age. I think if we get it put in the newspaper, I'm just, it seems like we're making it more complicated than it is. If he says that the place can fit at least we'll go for 30 people in there. And he could tell us how much 30 people will cost. We could just allot that money, just like we did for the other thing that Ms. Young brought up, and we sponsored it for the summer camp. You know what I mean? And we just voted on it and it was done.
And this is kind of incorporated into the summer camp for the children. That's why we don't have much time to work.
They
But
go
we
to school
keep
August
putting
11th.
putting stuff off. But we have the young man here, and he has the amount on here. It's 12. Might have got cut off. It's $12, or is it $12.50? $12. Can he come up here?
He can, if you'd like to come, we're just not. He can't speak to a proposal because we don't have a proposal.
Okay.
There's no defined proposal. So if you'd like to come speak to one of the flyers, and,
It's
Mr.
a
Kennedy?
85 capacity.
Will you state your name?
My name is Terrell Kennedy.
And what do you do at the Opera?
I'm the owner of the space station, a youth-focused arcade and creative space right here in downtown Lake City. I grew up in this community, and I know what it's like to have nowhere to go after school, no safe place to hang out, to be creative, or just be a kid. That's why I created the space station, to give our youth a place to go that I didn't have when I was growing up. The space station is full of energy, imagination, and purpose. It's a place where kids feel seen, supported, and inspired. We offer retro arcade games. I have a full music studio and teach kids how to record music. Content creative zones for podcasting and digital projects. After school, I help them with homework. We do games, and we have positive social time. I also offer birthday parties, special events, full supervision, 24/7 security cameras that alert the police if triggered. I want to host, with the funding, I want to host free events, like he was saying, for family nights, trivia nights, karaoke, just something for the youth to do in the city, because it's not nothing here. So I just want to keep the kids out the street.
What's the number? What's the capacity?
85.
85.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it's $12 or $12.50
$12, and that's for the whole day.
for the whole day.
Yep.
Okay.
If I may ask, how old are you?
How old am I? I'm 39.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor, may I ask some
Yep,
questions?
Mr. Jernigan.
So you say your name was Kennedy?
Terrell Kennedy.
Canada.
Kennedy.
With an A.
With an A. Kennedy.
Oh, Canada. Okay.
Kennedy.
It's like Kennedy, but,
K-A-N-N-A-D-Y.
but replace the E's with A's.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you say you're originally from Lake City?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Carter, you had a question?
I have a question, but it's not for Mr. Kennedy at the moment. To lay to rest that thing I was talking about, to be clear, you can't. It's not a rule. I'm just suggesting that I think it would be more proper to come up with a thing tonight and then vote on it at the next meeting when people have a chance to know what it is. To be clear, but moving on to the idea, back to the idea, it sounds like it is a community outreach sort of a thing, and I don't know the total as far as like money and how we plan that out. I think the fire department and the PD both have a budget for community outreach. So perhaps if we're incorporating PD and fire department into that, maybe some of the funds come from there as something we've already budgeted for. But I don't know the numbers and what we have in those accounts. Again, so back to, that's pertinent information for this.
We also, if along that same vine, if an organization wanted to quarterback this with the police and fire, and it wasn't the city, it was a nonprofit, they could also apply for the matching grants to have the costs covered time and again for those wristbands, and it would go through the only thing that I start thinking is I think, and just to be clear, those matching grants still have $95,000 in them until September.
Begging people to apply for them.
Yeah, so that would be a great thing for a church to create this kind of and for us to be able to fund it. Now, what I like about that, go ahead.
I don't think churches can apply.
Churches
The
can't
mayors-
apply.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody else, but not churches.
Okay, sorry. So other private nonprofits, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Other private nonprofits could sponsor this kind of thing. My concern is we have a level of oversight whenever we do that, but if we were just paying straight to the private parties, whether it is the retro arcade or the space station, we don't have that same oversight, especially whenever it comes to sponsoring kids and kids' activities. So not to say that there's anything with your business or with the other business, but it would be more comfortable for me going through that process with a partnering entity, so that we had that oversight and we knew that kids were being watched with the level of background checks that are required for that use of money. Does that make sense? That's my thought on it.
Good job, man.
Let me stammer around a little bit more. So what action would we like to define for future, or what is the Mr. Jernigan?
I'm waiting. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. So you're saying that whoever we have our kids, children around, you want to do a level of a background check to make sure that they are who they say they are. I guess you could say. That's what
I think that's important. And there's the grants, the matching grants allow or go through that process, right? So when somebody applies for those matching grants, and how that would work is they would contract with the arcades to put these nights on, pay, and then they could get reimbursed for the wristbands.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
So it will be certain nights, certain times.
Yes, it would be whatever that organization defined. Yeah.
Okay, because just mentioning the one out 90, and where the alcohol is served, is what we would ask that they not serve alcohol during the hours that we do the vouchers, or how would that work?
I would say, so I was in there on Sunday night, and I saw one person getting alcohol, and they checked their ID, so I would imagine that it would be screened that way, but I don't know that. What's our process there? Would we not? Do we not fund events with alcohol?
The city has no policy on funding events and spaces with or without alcohol.
Yeah.
It would be up to the event space manager to manage that under existing state law.
Mr. Carter,
I would just quickly point out that it's not a bar, right? It's an arcade that sells that sells beer. It doesn't sell liquor. I mean, Chuck E. Cheese sells beer. I don't know that it's. I don't think that. Maybe if there were hard liquor involved, it might be a different story. But I don't think that a place that sells beer and wine has a tiny portion of, like, for a dad to have a beer while his kids are playing skee ball or whatever. I don't know that it's relevant, especially if we don't have a policy currently on it. But I mean, again, it's just, we certainly could ask a place that if we're funding a thing, if the board so chooses to ask them, can you not have beer that night or something like that if we want to. But I don't know that it's a big deal.
Sure, and again, back to my point, to make sure that that third party was going for those grants for reimbursement for whatever they were throwing. I think I like that because it gives us good. It follows our process, and it gives us good installation, and we get to participate. But
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, when you say that third party, it sounds like you're suggesting that instead of the city taking direct action on this at all, we try to get a local civic organization.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm hearing. Apply for the grant, and then we
that's what
you do the grant.
So then, we would be empowering a third party to do these summer nights, these summer arcade nights, these family fun nights, and I think that would be a really positive thing, and it would give a lot more ownership throughout the community, right? So the more people you can get involved in something like this, I think the bigger it'll be. So that's my thought.
Well,
Mr. Jernigan was
yes.
first.
Again, I don't know about serving of alcohol in an establishment. I don't know the rules. I do know that you got to check for ID, and when I went in there was 5 or 6 people, putting them down. I think they was doing curls or something or back arms. I wouldn't want mine grandkids in a place like that. I don't care if it's Chuck E. Cheese or wherever. I just wouldn't want mine there. But and this is the thing. That young man on 90 West, he runs everything by himself. He's serving the beer. He's making the pizza. He's giving out armbands, wristbands. He's checking to see if the machines are failure. I don't know how many cameras he's got in there or anything like that, but he's extremely busy. So I like that idea of giving those monies of funding to one of those organizations and let them go in on it. So.
I think
I haven't got a chance to go in this one yet. I don't know if I'm invited or not.
You could come by. You come by anytime.
Yeah, I don't want to step across the boundaries. I know the boundaries. Trust me when I tell you that.
Leave that alone.
I say boundaries. I didn't say Bowden. I said boundaries. Okay.
I said boundaries. What are the boundaries?
Okay. But anyway, I would love to come and see exactly what you got. And my grandkids are very, very important to me, and I know everybody here has got kids and grandkids and so forth and so on. As long as it's kid friendly.
Most kid friendly place in Lake City.
Yeah, and you're trying to do the right thing. So let's see what happens.
Yes, sir.
I like both of these businesses, and I think going the way of the grants and either alternating or having both of them involved at any given time keeps us out of the middle of choosing one small business over the other, and I think that's really important. We want to support both of them, and we want to make it as big as possible.
Yes.
So I think that, yeah.
I would like to say, when I went in the 109, I kind of had to bring him down a little bit. When I say that, I walked in there and I introduced myself and I told him I had visited the game room on 90 and I heard that he had one. I didn't know it was there. So immediately he says, everybody know? No, I'm not everybody. I didn't know this was here. So he said something about the name, and I think, is it Retro? Mm-hmm. I say, when I look up there and see Retro, I'm looking for Michael Jordan shoes to be hanging up there in the ceiling. I don't put a game room with that. But it's large, and he's adding more. I think they got cornhole in the back and all. And I think both places really, I just think it's a great thing for Lake City. I just hate them just finding out about them. And Chance had already been, and he loves it. And I think churches are.
Yeah, churches, daycares.
Yes, and I just think I think the idea is awesome, not because I presented it, but I just think it's an awesome idea. I appreciate the support of city council and city manager and assistant city manager, and they kind of helped me to broaden the idea. I think it's very good for the Lake City community, law enforcement, firemen, council, and everybody. I'm looking at I'm kind of go off the chart here a little bit. I look back there and see the chief, fire chief back there. Now they I have to say this because I just thought about it, y'all. It has nothing to do with the games, but there's some good cooks. There's some good cooks, and they grill that chicken, and I never told them thank you. They smoked that chicken. I wanted to take them home, smoke the chicken to my house. I never told him thank you. And I look back there just now.
I'm gonna have to rope us back in.
And thought about it. Come on,
rope us back into, rope us back into item number.
Thank you.
14. Yeah. So I think that our action on this is to find a community partner that we can work through on those merit matching grants and make sure that we're supporting our local businesses. I think that's a great idea. Thank you for being here tonight. All right. Moving on to item 15. So this is our last item because we already had item 16. Update and discussion. City Council meeting for August 4th, 2025 has been canceled due to a conflict with the airport conference. I believe that a majority of City Council will be out of town on August 4th. So we are moving that to August 7th, 2025, which is that Thursday. Is that good?
Mr. Mayor, that sounds fine to me.
Does that make sense to everybody?
That's real good to me.
Mr. Jernigan?
No, it don't make sense to me. You say it on a Thursday?
Yeah, it'll be Thursday, August 7th, 2025, because we won't have a quorum.
I got some personal But no, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I had already put in the 4th, but I looked at this and I was like, oh my God, why they're changing it? But it is what it is. I'm here to support you, Mayor. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jernigan. I want to give a little expansion on the explanation for this, because otherwise we could have had it on the following Monday. So Angie, I know that we have a tight deadline for that. Will you explain why?
Yes, the trim schedule.
Hey, will
we
you
have
pull
certain,
will you pull this down for you?
the trim schedule? We have certain deadlines that we have to meet in order to pass the budget, and that's one of the dates for the fire assessment and the budget. So we need to attend on the 7th.
August 7th. Okay.
So you changing it to August 7th?
Yep, August 7th. So it'll be Thursday that week instead of Monday.
Really?
You'll be out of town. She'll be out of town on Monday.
You'll be out of we'll be out of town on Monday. You'll be out of town.
I get back on the 6th, that Wednesday, so on the 7th.
Yeah, you all will be back.
Come see y'all guys.
Ms. Young, is it good for you? I've checked everybody. Okay, very good. All right. Well, that's our last item. So we will move on into comments and we will start with our charter officers, beginning with you, Mr. Don Rosenthal.
Yes, Mayor, I was going to bring out what Andrea already did about having our millage rate by that date. Also, we're probably going to need a special meeting for our housing authority. I want to bring the meeting to the board sometime in August.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. I assume we'll discuss that at our next meeting. You good? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. All right, City Attorney Clay Martin.
No comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. City Clerk Audrey Sykes.
No comment.
Thank you, Ms. Sykes. Now we're coming into comments by council members. We will begin with you, Vice Mayor Young.
Oh, man?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. First of all, I would like to say, I did not say Mr. what's his name? Holmgren brought a gun in. That's not what I said. I said I received a phone call, and that's what was said to me. I just want to clarify that. I know y'all heard me. I just want to clarify that.
For the record.
So that's done. And I think I'm good tonight, y'all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Young. City Council Member Ricky Jernigan.
I just want us to keep in mind of the danger that the police and firemen face. So anytime you see one of those department heads, the chief of police, the chief of the fire department, y'all thank them for what they do, because they put their lives on the line every single day. And we have a great fire department and a great police department. So whenever you see those guys, just go by and shake their hand and say, hey, thank y'all for what y'all do. Also, department heads, I've been on this board here for about almost 3.5 years. And I've never seen department heads work so well together. So I just want to give a shout out to the department heads for what y'all do, man. Y'all do a very, very good job. And yes, I do call you every now and again and things like that, because I don't know everything, and I'm learning more and more. But we have some of the best department heads this city has gotten to offer. So I just want to say thank y'all for what y'all do, because y'all definitely do a very, very good job. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jernigan. Thank you. Councilmember James Carter.
Yes, sir. I have two things I'd like to bring up real quick, and I'm not sure. I don't necessarily want to talk a long time about it tonight, but I think they're important things that we start thinking about and considering. First, when we talked earlier about like discussion of possible action and kind of like confusion on how each of us feel about those sort of things, I think that's just one of a handful of different things. We have a new mayor, 2 new councilors in the last year, a new city manager. I think that it would be prudent, probably not real soon because we've got budget workshops and everything like that. We're moving into budget season here in the next couple of weeks, and that's going to be plenty enough to do. But after we get through the budget, I think it would be prudent for us to get together and have a off-site sort of a roundtable workshop. Obviously, like always, would be open to the public, but the primary purpose would be for the 5 of us to sit, chat, and sort of work out how the procedures we like for this, so that there's less confusion on moments like that, and we can get to where we can be a real smooth running machine. If you ever watch the meetings of councils that maybe have had the same people on them for a long time, they you can tell they know each other well. They can have certain very clear, like, this is what this person expects or needs to feel comfortable voting on a thing and stuff like that. So I think we should do that. It's not uncommon actually for councils to do that exact thing, especially when there's a lot of folks that are pretty new to the process. I think we should do that for our group. And then there's a whole separate thing. One of the like most consistent issues of like frustration, arguments, and uncomfortableness that comes up all the time in the last year and a half that I've been on the board is when it comes to how to fund various forms of recreation. Obviously, the city got out of the recreation business, and I'm not necessarily suggesting that we get back into it. However, it's one of the most common things that I'm asked or told by citizens as I'm going about my daily life is that they wish we had some form of organized recreation. My first suggestion would be that we already provide funds for the summer program, or maybe we'll provide funds for this thing, or maybe we'll provide funds for a cheer group for the Richardson Community Center. But it's very random, sporadic, and willy-nilly. And I think, and I've talked with some smarter people than me that have suggested this specific thing, but it was, I thought, a really good idea that the city maybe look into developing a position or a role that is a recreation coordinator. Someone who is the person who, when there are things to be funded, they bring it to us. They explain it, they ask about it, they manage where funds go. There is a person you go to for these things. Because right now, a lot of these things that we've seen just in the last year and a half that I've been here has been like maybe a specific person with an organization knows Miss Young, or knows me, or knows the mayor, or so on and so forth, and brings an idea and gets one person excited about it. And then we could then come here and we try to propose a thing to everybody, and we talk about what we do and don't like, and it just, many of the most contentious conversations we've had up here are around how or not to fund what when it comes to various forms of recreation, whether we're doing grants for expanding the park or whether we're going to give money to this program for the summer. So I think it would be worth looking into having someone coordinate all of that. Not a full-blown rec department, but a person who helps coordinate the, at this point, small amount of funds we do invest in recreation. Those are thoughts.
Thank you, Councilman Carter. Vice Mayor Young?
There was, we had a meeting, and I think I asked Ms. Audrey something concerning this a few days ago. We had a meeting at Richardson Community Center concerning, back then it was about the deed. And after signing the deed over to the county, or voting on it to do it, there was, the county said they would give $100,000 a year, and the city give $100,000 a year. And the county has been doing it, but it was brought to my attention that the city never did it. And there were stipulations, and one of them was that a committee be formed. And if I remember correctly, I think Ms. Audrey is going to look for the notes on it. If I remember correctly, the councilman, back then it was Commissioner Williams, and myself would be a part of the board, and then whomever, I guess the others, I don't know, there's probably some from Richardson, maybe a couple from Richardson, but anyway, this committee was to be formed, and all of the funding that it would have to go through this committee. And I think that's might be like what you're talking about. But Ms. Sykes is gonna look, and because we do, if we said we're gonna do it, we need to look into it and find out what what did we say, what did we agree to, why we didn't do it, or whatever. So, and we definitely want to know the stipulations.
Sure. And again, I would probably, to expound upon it, I would probably want staff to come up with maybe some ideas for how that is done, whether it be a committee, whether it be a person. But just the idea is, like anything else, there needs to be if we're going to spend money on recreation, whether it's 100,000, 50,000, 200,000, whatever, there needs to be a line in the budget that says that, and there needs to be someone accountable for how someone or a committee or however we want to do it, how it's expended, and make that process streamlined, so it's not just random things all the time here, there, and everywhere, because it feels weird. We never know how to compare this with that, and so on and so forth, and I think it makes us look messy. So
I think it should never be one person.
Well, if it was a staff member who was, like I said, for instance, that would be. Most places have a director of recreation if they have a recreation department. So,
Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right, Councilwoman Harris.
Well, I have a couple of things to say. I thank all the department heads that met with me for lunch. I just wanted to thank them because I felt like they were doing a good job, as you said. So I took everybody to lunch. I think it was like 20 people. I was upset because they only ate one plate of food. But nevertheless, it was just a nice time. I met with the city workers, and it has been so hot lately, and I am very concerned about them being dehydrated in the heat that is out there now. So I loaded up my husband's truck with waters and Gatorades, and I took them out there, and I talked to them a little bit about, put my footage up, Mr. IT man. So we were out there, and all the fellas met with me. They came and got waters from the waters and Gatorades after I talked to them about staying hydrated, because we don't want nobody to have a situation going on that's unhealthy. Also, I'd like to bring to everybody's attention that we have our very own Audrey Sykes. What? Mr. IT, put that up.
Oh my goodness.
She came and worked at the last soup kitchen, and she was getting down up there. She's now on the picture with the Apostle.
Oh
but she did a tremendous job. She came by the next day. So it always looks good. If you all have time and stuff, y'all should come out. You would not believe the people that we have in our city that are homeless and come to eat. I think Audrey was blown away with how many people we serve. And they don't just eat soup and crackers. They eat real meals. Today, Audrey, they had turkey wings, rice. Yeah, they eat meals. All right, and so that is that on Audrey. So y'all give her a hand.
Well done, Audrey.
I had the town hall meeting. That was that Saturday. I knew it just kind of happened, but I wanted to keep my word. I told them that I was going to have a town hall meeting within the first 6 to 7 months, and I wanted to keep my word. So we had the town hall meeting, and I thought it went pretty good. Chief was there. He was able to answer questions on behalf of the Mariah Fund. Audrey was there. She was, and the mayor wrote a letter. And I thought I was enthralled by the letter, but I had so many people came up and they thought that was real sweet of you sending the letter. So you got some kudos on that.
Writing letters is easy, so I appreciate you for I appreciate you for doing the town hall.
But they were happy that you did acknowledge that it was going on.
Yeah.
All right, and I also wanted to ask Chief about the officer, which I had spoke with him previously about the officer, I can't remember his name, that got hurt, because I'm concerned about him.
Officer Hardison?
Maybe, and I want him to just let everybody know what's going on with him.
Officer Hardison is doing well. He's recovering. He's in physical therapy. Right now, obviously, I speak with him, more with his wife. I don't like to bother him because if he's asleep, but I've talked to his wife. They're doing well. Right now, the anticipated earliest date we think he'll be able to come back is April. Wow. But his father does work for the police department, and I'm in regular contact with him, and I've told him if he does need anything, let me know, and we'll get it taken care of. But thank you for asking.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
I also had the pleasure of meeting with the HOA at the plantation, and that was a pretty good meeting. Mr. Rosenthal was there again, and he was able to ask some questions because they wanted certain things to be done. And Mr. Rosenthal do what he do, and found out what was what, and he was able to get back with the people with the answer. So I appreciate you, Don, for showing up with that. And I would like to say, sometimes we have moments behind this dais that's a little contentious, but I can say this: I believe that everybody that sits up here behind this dais, our heart is into making Lake City a better place. I can't speak for the council before me because I didn't even come to the council meeting because y'all had so much going on. But as of recently, I see everybody's heart is into making Lake City a better place. And I think it was set up for a time such as this. I think Don came at the right time. I think D, and I'm gonna have to say D. D is he's that right-hand man for Don, right under Steve. So
Two right hands.
Doing like
They
that.
have two right
I had to
hands.
throw that in there. I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry, D, but D is a good fella. And I must say, you know,
Gonna have an office fight club.
the mayor, he just does not know exact what he do for the people here in Lake City. But I do want to tell you this, that they are so proud that you are their mayor. And they think that you are a mayor for the people. Don't let us down. I also want to say to Audrey, I appreciate, because I call Audrey all the time. I call Audrey even on the weekends. She don't mind. I call Don, I call D, I call Steve. These are the people that I call. I call Don so much that I try to give him a break and I call D. Then when I feel like I'm getting on D nerves, I call Steve. So I just want to tell you guys, you all have made this process real easy for me. I am newly elected, and a lot of stuff I am learning by trial and error, but I do appreciate everybody's help with, you know, molding me into this position. I just want to say thank you to the best council of the world, and you too, Mayor, the best.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Mayor,
All right. Yes, ma'am.
can I give kudos? I've been getting a lot of calls. Anybody, God, what's his name? I've been getting a lot of calls, customer service.
Oh.
Have y'all walked in that building?
It
Did you feel the warmth?
did.
I mean, it's beautiful. I want it to happen in the city hall very soon. You walk in that city hall, in that customer service, you wouldn't think you're in Lake City. Not the Lake City we used to live in. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Council, take a trip. I see you shaking your head. You've been there. Take a trip in there, and you'll come out saying, "Wow, I'm not kidding you." And it's amazing. And if it makes me feel that way, I know what Lake City feels like. And we want to get all of our departments like that. City Hall, we got work to do.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
Man, don't try to cut them off.
Well, I was just thinking I might start putting you in
good, I'm
between. adding Vice Mayor Young 1, 2, 3. All right. Cheers and accolades to Steve and team. Camp Street is underway.
Yeah.
Camp Street is underway. So congratulations. I ran into Miss Goggins there while they were tearing up the old street the other day. She was elated. So cheers to that. 4th of July and our partnership with the county was a huge success.
Yeah.
It was safe. It was clean. It was fun. The show was incredible. I want to commend Terry. I want to commend Public Works. I want to commend police. I want to commend fire. Because right before, Assistant Chief Rhett saved the day and did a last-minute inspection on the fireworks to make sure that show happened. So cheers to you guys and our fire team. They don't just make good chicken; they're also very fit, and they're a great team. So I trust that they'll run in and grab me out of a fire whenever. So cheers to all you guys for making that event a success. I would like to say that Breakfast with the Chief is at night. So if you want Breakfast with the Chief on July 15th, it's going to be at night coming up. The specifics of that actually are going to be that it is at the Holiday Inn, July 15th at 6 p.m. Citizens Police Academy is also coming up. So if you're interested in being part of the Police Academy, you can join us for the free 10-week program. Go to the police department or call the police department and find out a little bit more about that. Coffee with a Cop. So 8/20/2025, 8:30 to 10 a.m. That is our next Coffee with a Cop. So make sure that you go to that. That's August 20th. Don, I want to say, there was a couple times that department heads were mentioned as being a good team and doing a great job, and I think that's indicative of a great leader. So thank you for what you're doing for the city. You've been here now for a year. You're doing good things. I appreciate that you make things a little smoother than they could be. And then I was very pleased to read through our audit. It showed us in pretty good shape. I can't wait to see the next one. I know that we'll be in a little better shape with how it's going. But also I can't wait to see some of our assets at work for the people. So with that being said, have a good night, everybody.
I know I have a question.